ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. The 25th verse of the 9th chapter took a little longer time, especially as we went into certain subtleties that Sri Shankaracharya in his commentary brought out. So the last sentence we saw in Shankara Bhāshya is Samani api ayase mameva na bhajante ajnanat. The vast majority of people who are into some religious practices do not rise to a certain connecting with the supreme God form or God's nature. Their vision, their understanding, their approach limits them. And though they do quite a bit of sadhana, they put in a bit of effort, they don't go very far. Samani api ayase. If the same effort were to be put in with greater understanding of God, His nature, therefore we never fail to emphasize the regular study of scriptures. God is infinite, but our mind can conceive him in a very finite form, then the benefits also are finite. Therefore, tena te alpafala bhajo bhavanti. Therefore, they get less results. Those who are not mature spiritual students. So we went into two classes on this. Now we continue. Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, न केवलं मद्भक्तानाम् अनावृत्ति लक्षणम् अनंतफलम् सुखाराधनश्च aham. Those who approach me, Lord Sri Krishna says, with that supreme understanding, with their mind very purified, then number one, anavritti lakshanam, they get moksha. Number two, their whole sadhana is pretty easy. Sukha aradhanaha aham. I am someone to worship whom it is very easy. What is meant is a whole lot of externalities are dispensed with if we rise in our adhikara, in our eligibility, in our capacity, in our fitness, we rise to a higher level, then things get easier. The shloka itself makes it very clear. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktयुपहृतम् ashnami prayatatmanah. A very popular shloka, much quoted on numerous platforms. Sri Krishna says, when your mind is pure, when your mind is elevated, when you have a higher understanding of God, you see God everywhere, inside you also, then your sadhana has hardly any requirements as regards externalities. All you need maybe is just a leaf. Sri Krishna, Mahavishnu, will be very pleased if you put a tulasi patram. Patram, pushpam, a flower, a leaf, a flower, phalam, a fruit, or even a spoonful of water. Toyam, yo me bhaktya prayachati. The word to be underlined is bhaktya. Bhaktya means with devotion. That is important. And this pure minded person is able to do it. The problem with the majority of people is they have everything but not the essential component. Devotion is the essential component, and they don't have that. Their mind is somewhere. They are chasing power and money and some other temporal benefits. So even when they are worshipping, alas, they are not able to visualize God is taking all care of theirs. They think that if I get that, if I get this in the world, I will be happy. The mature spiritual seeker knows I don't need anything. If at all I need anything, God will give me. My only job is to worship God with all humility and purity of mind. So, patram pushpam phalam toyam. A leaf or a flower, a fruit or a little water. Suppose a devotee offers with devotion, that with devotion is to be highlighted, then I accept it. Tat aham ashnami. I accept. Ashnami literally means I consume, I eat. Bhakti upahratam. Tatiya tatpurusha samasa. Bhaktya upahratam as a compound becomes Bhakti upahratam prayatatmanah ashnami. So Shankaracharya in his Bhāshya says prayatatmanah means Shuddha buddhehe. Therefore, higher you go in your understanding, in your bonding with God, lesser will be the emphasis or insistence on various other arrangements. When you go higher, suppose you recite the mantra with a little error. Suppose in the methods also there is a little error. Doesn't matter. Your love, your love for God has gone to such great heights. Bhagavan Bhashyakara gives a very short commentary. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Toyam, he says, means udakam. Some people may not know the meaning of the word toya. Jala, apaha, udakam are more common words. Udakam yaha prayachati, offers. Tadaham patradi bhaktya upahritam. Bhakti purvakam prapitam. Prapitam means the devotee has given to God. Otherwise, praptam, if you write, devotee got it. But devotee made God to get it. Prapita grammatically is the causal of prapta. So you make God get it. If you get something, prapnomi. But if you make some friend of yours get something, then it is prapayami and prapitam. Bhaktyuta pratam ashnami grihnami. I take, I accept. Prayatatmanaha shuddha buddhehe. So how important it is in life, more than anything else, we must strive towards constantly purifying our mind. Because deeper we see life, our suffering is because of thoughts only. If thoughts are pure, no situation is so troublesome. When thoughts are impure, Even if we have 100 comforts, there is a little discomfort somewhere, little disadvantage, little inconvenience. We fret and fume. Even in relationships, if our mind is pure, others misunderstand us, others seem to neglect us, ignore us, others don't give us what is generally regarded as due to us. When we have a pure mind, we are able to take it all in our stride. And from the self inquiry point of view, the height of purity of mind is the erasure of the ego. When the ego is erased, nothing matters at all. Tanmarganam sarva jayaya margaha, says Ramana Maharshi in Saddarshanam, to go in search of the true I, to go in search of the very source from which the limited I arises. That inquiry, that search is the means to Sarvajaya, all round victory. No matter where, no matter when, no matter with whom, you are free of hassles. Therefore, a daily life, you and I run and say we have no time for serious spiritual study or meditation. That is a big blunder. We must take some time off and study, then meditate. Then invariably we see that we are able to do all other things in less time than otherwise. Shuddha Buddhehe, the last word in Shankara Bhāshya on the 26th verse, is of immense significance. Shuddha Buddhi can make life so beautiful. Ashuddha Buddhi, impure mind, causes sorrow to us, irrespective of so many enviable things that we may have with us: academic qualification, exposure, social respect, etc. All pale into insignificance when our mind is impure. Therefore, it would not be wrong to say, it would not be an exaggeration to say that 99% of the spiritual journey is about purifying our mind. The last 1%, jnana, atma jnana, that will happen if this is taken care of. Therefore, we must strive towards inner purification. Continuing, Bhagavan Sri Krishna further emphasizes that what is important is the constant remembrance, loving remembrance. Yataha evam, because it is so, even a leaf, a fruit, some water, or some uh, flower, so simple. Therefore, don't worry about externalities so much. Don't say, how will I get gold and silver? How will I go to such and such place and worship him? How will I know so many mantras? So we sometimes compare ourselves with others who might be doing some worship in an elaborate way, who might spend a lot, who might travel to so many holy places and come back. We find we are not able to do it. Sri Krishna says it doesn't matter. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, offer to God. So this verse 27 also is a very significant verse on this day, Wednesday morning in India. And now from this class onwards, in India it is from 8 a.m. because daylight saving ended in the west. So earlier we had, for example, Pacific time 6:30 and in India 7 a.m. Now Pacific time 6:30 continues, but India it is 8 a.m. In this 205th class on Bhagavad Geetā, we picked up verse 26 and now we have the verse 27, Sri Krishna saying, let's see Sanskrit first. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Don't even worry about formal worship. Earlier it was said worship with very little samagri, materials. For it's not the grandeur of arrangements and the samagri material, but it is the purity of love that you have in your heart. That was 26. 27th verse says, put aside worship. For some reason you are not able to conduct worship. Make your work itself into worship. Work is worship. Yat karoshi, whatever you do. Yad ashnasi, whatever you eat. Eat with loving remembrance of God and a thought like God alone is eating through this individual self. Everything God does. Harihi karta, harihi bhokta, as they say. Yadashnasi, whatever you eat, consume. Yadjuhoshi, whatever homa havan you perform. Yat tapasyasi, austerities you perform. In between dadasi, whatever you give, dana. In other words, a wide range of activities into which you are, remember to offer it all to God. Tat kurushva madarpanam. Make it an offering, mat arpanam, mahyam arpanam. It's an offering unto the Lord. Tat kurushva madarpanam. This shloka can be slightly modified for our sadhana purpose. Here, Sri Krishna is saying to Arjuna, but we can make it our saying to the Lord. Yat karomi yadashnami yajjuhomi dadami yat tapasyami varshneya tat karomi tvadarpanam. Whatever you do, you eat, ritual you perform, whatever gifts you give to the needy, whatever austerities you perform, that is shloka. Here, whatever I do, whatever I eat, whatever I havan home I do, whatever gift I give, you after change. Yat tapasyami, whatever austerities I may perform, tat karomi, I will do it, I will make it, tvadarpanam, offering unto you. Thus, things are made extremely simple, and alas, because of our attachments to the world, things of the world, people of the world, we go on either postponing, connecting with God, or even while some sadhana we are trying to do, the mind is far away. Mind does not cooperate. Therefore, satsanga, if you meet saints, if you meet spiritual people, then you get the inspiration. You pick up from them. Without your knowing, there is a change in the way you think. Sri Shankaracharya writes, Yat karoshi swatapraptam. So whatever work comes to us on its own, because an advanced spiritual student is very careful not to take more and more things on his own or her own. The advanced spiritual student realizes the sad limitations of karma. Therefore, he doesn't plunge into karma without thinking. Only when it is duty, only when it is supportive of his spiritual sadhana. Not for money, not for power, not to impress some people. Thus, Shankaracharya writes, Swatapraptam, what comes on its own. For life is such, the law of life is, we find ourselves at places, in situations where certain things come to our lap. We must work, we must do. So whatever is our religious and spiritual duty, that is swatapraptam, yadashnasi, what you eat, yadjuhoshi, homa havan and so on, havanam nirvartayasi, performing havana, the fire ritual, lighting up certain fire, we make some offerings into the fire. That is homa, havana, shrautam, smartam va. Some of them might be having their source in the Shrutis, that is the Karma Kanda, the Vedic portions, that is Shrautam, and some others are mentioned and elaborated in the Smritis. Therefore, something coming from Smritis is called Smarta. Something coming from Shruti is Shrauta. Yad dadasi prayachasi brahmanadibhyaha hiranya annadi. So dana could be on top of the ladder, even pieces of gold, or otherwise anna. You give food. Hiranya annadi. A Tippankara says there is another version in some of the Shankara Bhashyas. Hiranya anna ajyadi. Ajya means ghee. So gold, kinds of food, and ghee. And there are various customs depending on who is the recipient. Who is the recipient? Accordingly, to change what you give to the person receiving the dana. Because you may be very generous. You may say, for me, all are equal. But among people who come to accept, their needs are different. Their needs vary. You see, somebody comes to your doorstep and asks for food. Many a time, the food you cook at your home will not be of interest to them. Their tastes are different. Many times you get some workers who do hard work with an axe, with other instruments, agricultural work, cutting a tree, lifting something from, taking from here and here to there. And I have seen many a time their tastes are very different. Not always, but many a time they are into eating maybe very spicy food, and you might be eating highly sattvic food. So you give them your sattvic food, they make a face. So in everything, dana, you're looking at all equally is a different matter, but their needs, what they like, also changes. Their deservedness, how much they deserve, how much they have, let us say, uh, the case of you are giving to people who have done something for you. Some would have done more, some would have done less. And therefore, what you give logically has to vary. Anyway, one word we took and went a little far. Let's see. Uh, the expression is Shrautam Smartam Va Yad Dadasi Prechasi Brahmanadibhyaha. Wide varieties of people, Brahminical personalities, Kshatriya personalities, Shudra personalities, Vaishya personalities. Creation has so much of diversity. As per their composition, mental constitution, as per what would help them really, what would please them, accordingly you give. But here the point is, Tat Kurushva Madarpanam. Make it all an offering to me. Then Yat Tapasyasi, Tapaha Charasi, Kaunteya. Tat Kurushva Madarpanam means Mat Samarpanam. Samarpana is handing over completely. Samarpana, some means whole lot. Whole lot of what you possessed is now God's. Swami Chinmayananda used to joke, if Samarpanam is not possible, do some Arpanam. mixing English and Sanskrit. If samarpanam is not possible, make some arpanam. There some is English, arpanam is the Sanskrit word. Mat samarpanam kuru. This way, Shankaracharya's brief commentary on the shloka gets over. And now we go to the connecting words. Evam kurvataha tava yad bhavati tat shrinu. Now listen to me, the rewards. If you go by what I have advised you, what is it that you stand to gain? Kim bhavati. In other words, there is something to be said about phalam. And phalam is outer results are less important. Inwardly, you rise above all dualities. Shubha and Ashubha, auspicious and inauspicious. Shubha Shubha Phalairevam Mokshase Karma Bandhanaihi Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mamupaishyasi. Shubha Shubha Phalaihi. So in your own eyes, something that comes to you may be very encouraging. You are heartened. You are so happy. Shubha. You label it as Shubha. For someone else, it may be a Shubha. That's a different matter. But for you, it boosts your spirits. Then there are things that happen which may be put under the banner of karma. That is karma phala, I mean. Phala. So, ishta anishte. Something you desire and something you do not want. Ishtanishte phale, shubhashubhe phale, yesham tani shubhashubha phalani karmani, taihi shubhashubha phalaihi karma bandhanaihi, karmani eva bandhanani. There is another word in the shloka, karma bandhanaihi. That is adjective to shubhashubha phalaihi. Shubhashubha phalaihi, karma bandhanaihi. As you and I get Shubha and Ashubha Phala, it's extremely difficult not to get attached to some of them and not to dislike some results, uh, some of the results we dislike. So as we get along, get going with life, at every juncture, we like certain things and we dislike certain things. In higher philosophy, it is said, those who can be aware of things without labeling them. This is good, that is bad, this is nice, that is ugly. So be aware. In a sense, there may be certain ugliness about somebody, something. Be aware, but personally, you are equal. Higher philosophy talks about it. But on the lower plane, certainly, we want to be free from the bondage of karma. Therefore, karma bandhanaihi, Tritiya Vibhakti Bahuvachana, is adjective to Shubha Shubha Phalaihi. These results of karma, which are good or bad, have an additional risk. As you enjoy them, you may get attached, or as you suffer them, you may strongly dislike. And the moment your bosom is filled with uh, happiness or sorrow, acceptance or rejection, you get more bound to those karmas. Therefore, to go through life quietly, silently, to go through life without much reactions, at the same time understanding what is a great challenge. Now let's see, Acharya Shankara says, Madarpanam kurvan mokshase. Mam upaishyasi said in the shloka. Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, you come to me. Mam upaishyasi. Mokshase. Shankara says you get liberated. Upaishyasi is in the shloka. Mokshase. Kurvan mokshase. Now picking up the first word in the second half of the shloka, or the third pada of the shloka, Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma. Here there is a bit of technicality. Sannyasa Yoga is a certain state of mind, a certain way of living, either way. But whether it's a way of living or a state of mind, what sets it apart from any other way of living, any other state of mind is given by Sri Shankaracharya. He says, Sannyasascha asau yogascha. So this one thing is called sannyasa yoga. It is sannyasa also, it is yoga also. Why is it called sannyasa? Bhagavan Bhashyakara simply says, mat samarpanataya. Because all you do, for example, is done with a sense of offering to God. That offering means you let go. You let go of it. You don't anymore say it is mine. It is now yours, O Lord. And what is sannyasa after all? Giving up. Sannyasa is renouncing. Sannyasa is saying goodbye to things. Therefore, mat samarpanataya iyam sadhana, this spiritual practice is sannyasa. Then why is it called yoga? Soyam sannyasa yogo nama. Yoga is karmatvat. The earlier shloka had said karoshi, juhoshi, ashnasi, tapasyasi, dadasi. All are about doing. So you do a lot of things, but the moment you say this is all for God to be pleased, then the whole inner process changes. Tena sannyasa yogena. Sannyasa because you let go of it, it reaches God now. Yoga because it is necessarily connected with doing of varieties of things, maybe Vaidika or even Laukika, religious actions or what you call actions in the society, in the world, that is both Vaidika and Laukika. Tena sannyasa yogena yuktaha atma antakaranam yasya tava sattvam. If your inner being is endowed with the sannyasa and yoga, then antakarana further expands, one becomes vimuktaha. Two words are used, vimuktaha and amupaishyasa. So vimukta means while you still have a body, you do not experience any bondage. You keep working, a third party may not know what's happening in you, but you know how in olden days, previously, I used to be so attached to things. I used to be so nervous. I used to be so anxious. All these are signs of attachment. But now you are doing it, but free of attachment. Doing it may be better than before. Your efficiency, your effectiveness, your skill, all that has grown a lot. But more importantly, inwardly you have grown 100 times more. And that is the detachment. Therefore, detachment, somebody asked Maharshi Ramana, is detachment, high detachment, the primary means to self-realization? He smiled and said, don't call sincere effort, pure-minded effort as, or vairagya as the topic came, detachment as the stepping stone. In its full form, Vairagya itself is realization. That means when there is full Vairagya, there is no delay of even 1 minute. To be in a state of supreme Vairagya is at once Jivan Mukti. Then what happens when the body falls? Patiteja asmin sharire. Then of course the human body that the person had used on the earth is no more necessary. The human body goes away and mam upaishyasi. You then become one with God. Mam upaishyasi, upa eshyasi. Nothing but getting near, going near, agamishyasi ityartha. You will come to me, you will reach me. At a number of places, Sri Krishna uses this language, merging with him, going where he lives, and so on. Therefore, what is meant is the Jiva Bhava comes to an end. Jiva Bhava is held in place, very much supported by nothing other than thoughts. Thoughts bind us, and pure thoughts relieve us. In this way, these are a couple of verses which talk about what is the benefit of this sarva karma samarpana. Patram pushpam phalam toyam, or the second shloka said, Yat karosi yadashnasi. The second shloka in this pair has the ending Samarpanam Kuru. Earlier it was said, even if you are offering a flower or some small thing, God will accept what you offer. And God accepting means a lot. God accepts you, God says you are mine, then that is a lot. In this way, I would once more say that chapter 9 is an excellent chapter, excellent scripture by itself, and it highlights bhakti. Therefore, chapter 9 could also be called as Bhakti Yoga. However, the traditional name for that is Raja Vidya Rajagutya Yoga. Thus, we have completed 28 verses today. We'll continue in the next class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.